top of the morning to ya. I'm Liam the Leprechaun, and I've got a wee secret to share. ZJZ Designs St has just unveiled their brand new St. Patrick's Day apparel. Featuring yours truly, of course. From cheeky tees to lucky prints, these designs are brimming with charm and plenty of gold. Whether you're heading to a parade or just feeling the Irish spirit, you look grand in these threads. So what are you waiting for? Skip the rainbow and head straight to ZJZDesigns.com. You'll find the pot of gold in your cart. No magic required. ZJZDesigns.com, where style is always in season.
It may be winter, but spring sports are registering now for Everplay Sports and Social. Barrett again from the All About Nothing podcast, and right now through February 19th, you can sign up for Tuesday Super Rec Same Team Pitch Kickball at M Avenue, Wednesday Kickball at M Avenue, Thursday Kickball at B Avenue and M Avenue, Indoor Volleyball on Mondays at Tri-City Leisure Center, Tuesday Indoor Volleyball at Tri-City Leisure Center, Tuesday Sand Volleyball at Pollywogs, Thursday Sand Volleyball at Pollywogs, Sunday Softball or Monday Softball at Pacific Park, Tuesday Bowling at Bolero in Casey, Wednesday Cornhole at Jay's Corner, Monday Pickleball at Casey Pickleball Complex, or Wednesday Soccer at B Avenue and Bray Park Field. Check out everplaysocial.com for more information and registration. Again, everplaysocial.com. Everplay Sports and Social League. Play, socialize, and have fun.
The All About Nothing podcast may have language and content
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, Nothingers, to another episode of the All About Nothing podcast. This is episode number 242, and if you're suffering from any of the exploding paper straws between January 1st and 2021 and September 19th of 2024, please email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, as we'd like to get you booked on the show to talk about your experience in recovery, as well possibly sign you up for a civil lawsuit. Executive order by Donald Trump today backed out the paper straw regulations and to bring back marine choking plastic straws, because nothing says fun like floating tortoises in the ocean. I am Barrett Gruber. This is Zach King. Welcome, Zach.
Hi, Barrett. It would be a problem if we had floating tortoises. So let's not cover it up for him. This is a pure blanket hate for turtles.
Yeah,
specifically sea turtles. And or any other straw-sized nostril turtle.
Marine. Yeah. Please subscribe and share the show. That's how we get new listeners. Also, if you could consider supporting us financially by visiting theallaboutnothing.com and becoming an official member and proudly calling yourself a true nothinger. We will have more details on that at the end of the show. And if you can't do that, please give us a 5-star review, a like, or follow us across all of social media, as you can find links to that on theallaboutnothing.com. Everplay Sports and Social spring season sports are signing up now, including dodgeball, softball, bowling, multiple nights of kickball, soccer, volleyball, cornhole. All leagues registration open through February 19th. Check everplaysocial.com for registration and details. You can sign up now, as leagues will definitely be selling out. Also, registration is going on now through March 28th for the Everplay Masters of Putt-Putt at Frankie's Fun Park in Columbia, South Carolina on March 29th. Registration for that will also sell out, so visit everplaysocial.com. ZJZ Designs, check out all of the apparel and gifts they have, plus the newly redesigned, I say redesigned, it's designed newly, St. Patrick's Day, featuring Liam the Leprechaun. Great designs for any season. Check out at ZJZDesigns.com.
Not related to the elf.
Yeah, no, that's true. Not related to no
striking resemblance.
Yeah, very close. March 1st and 2nd, Wilmington Convention Center in Wilmington, North Carolina is the second Coastal Comic Con. Check out coastalcomiccon.com for tickets and details. Vendors, artists, voiceover artists, including TV and movie actors. Ross Marquand is going to be there. Sam Witwer, Matthew Wood, Matthew Watterson, Count Dodd, Caitlin Robrock. Go check out coastalcomiccon.com, or you can follow Coastal Comic Con on Instagram and Facebook. All right.
I look forward to bothering Sam Witwer again and Matthew Watterson.
I want to see if Ross Marquand travels around with that mallet, that spiky mallet thing that he has for that he had to wear during The Walking Dead.
Or he's like a Red Skull.
Yeah, Red Skull from Endgame.
Yeah.
You know, it's all very exciting. All right. Our guests this week are CEO Ashley Darling and CTO Chris Jones of the Neptune app. Welcome, Ashley and Chris.
Welcome.
Hi.
Y'all.
Thank you for being here with us. We're very excited. I took a chance and sent a message to Ashley while she was doing one of her lives. I think you were putting on makeup, and
Probably.
I was like, "There's no way she's going to see this." So But she did, and I stood out somehow enough to be seen, because I don't know how you put on makeup while you're responding to people on lives, because the comments that come flying past, like, I did not put us on TikTok tonight because of the comments that come through are so incredibly distracting. So Ashley and Chris, just to give a little bit of a description, if you don't know, I don't know how, but basically the Neptune app is an emerging social media platform designed to prioritize, and you all correct me if I'm wrong, designed to prioritize creators and their content. It aims to offer a community-first approach with features like customizable content feeds and ghost metrics, which allow users to focus on their art without the distraction of traditional engagement metrics. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. Thank you very much, ChatGPT. I pulled all of that from there.
That's so great. I feel famous. Like ChatGPT
Great.
knows who we are.
Gemini, you're letting me down.
So, Ashley, I want to start with you. How did this go from idea to reality? Like, what was the spark moment that you were like, this is what we have to do?
I mean, it's funny that you bring up watching me do my makeup on a live stream. That's what I've done for years and years. I've been a content creator for almost 20 years. I don't look like it. Yes, thank you. But I've been a content creator for a long time, and I was always on the cutting edge of doing as many things as I could on social media, right? Like I lied about my college education so I could get on Facebook. I was one of the first users to utilize the live feature when it came out on Facebook. I was all over Instagram because I had iOS and I got to download it first. And so I've always been sort of out there doing content creation. I did influencing for several years, did brand deals, and developed quite a large following between 2018 and 2021 when I decided to step away from that career and I pivoted to consulting, as so many do. And so I was consulting with personalities in and around Hollywood who were looking to develop their personal brands online. And so when I took that long extended break from social media and kind of came back to it in a consulting realm, I found a very different landscape from when I left. And what I was seeing a lot of chatter going around was that, you know, creators in the BIPOC, queer, and disabled communities were having their content suppressed. Their stuff wasn't getting seen as much. They didn't feel like they had creative freedom to talk about the things that were affecting them. A lot of people with disabilities actually get their videos taken down when they go to talk about some of the things that they struggle with, because these moderation platforms decide that it's upsetting, right? They kind of err on the side of, oh, people don't want to hear about your struggles. We're going to take that down. And so it's really incredibly invalidating for so many creators. And so as any entrepreneur, you know, there has to be a better way. So it was either I go to TikTok or Meta, work my way up the ranks, you know, fight from within, bust the glass ceilings, or I could create my own damn thing. And so I decided to do the latter because I didn't have enough corporate experience to get that high in TikTok and Instagram. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put this out there. So I literally had this idea for this social media platform where creators could feel really, truly expressed, where their profile was truly an expression of who they are. And the ghost metrics was just a way of moving that number that everybody kind of just makes a snap judgment about when they go to someone's profile. And it's just a psychological thing. Like, we're not assholes about it. Like, that's just the way our brain works. Like, we go to someone's profile and we're like, oh, they have 50,000 followers. Oh, they must be worth a follow. And we kind of assign more value to them. So by taking that metric and moving it further down the page, or allowing the creator to remove it completely, there would be a lack of bias there, and people could go and just be judged based on how they wanted to show up on social media, their content, their profile theme, you know, their profile banner pictures. And so I had this like idea in my head, and I was like, I'm just going to put this on Threads because, you know, what else are you going to do with a giant idea you have no idea what to do with? I'm not a tech person. I'm not a Silicon Valley girl. Chris had to teach me how to say Silicon Valley properly because I was saying it silicone. And he was like, no, girl, like you have to say it silicon. And I was like, okay, so now I can say it properly. Okay, this is how far removed from tech I am. Silicone, I know. Silicon, not so much. So I literally put this out on Threads and I was like, guys, I have this idea for an app. Do I know any developers? And I had, you know, the typical creepy old guys reach out to me and be like, yeah, totally. What do you want to trade for, honey? And I was like, no, thank you. No. But then I had Chris, and Chris was like, I'm intrigued. Do you want to talk about this? And I was like, here's my idea. Brrr, and like walls of text just back and forth, me and Chris. And we were like, this
Chris goes,
sounds
"Never
cool. Yeah. And we hopped on a Zoom call, and that was that. We were like, we were so aligned with our vision and what we wanted this to be and why we needed this to exist. And the rest is, history in the very short term, because, we're only a year out from this. Like, we started this last
history,
May.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So Chris, what is your background? How was it that when you responded to Ashley and said, yeah, I'm interested in this, like, where were you coming from at that point?
Yeah, so I've been in tech for about 10 years now. At 33 years old, I had worked in retail for 10, 15 years, and I was a punk rocker. I've been in punk rock bands. I've been on tour, and I was very much, still am, into the alternative scene and, heavy music. And for me, joining tech was a culture shock, right? A big corporate enterprise type situation versus what I had known in my retail life. So I have a background of a non-traditional student, being a little bit older than everybody when I first joined my companies. But very quickly, working in the trenches and working in tech, we have these side projects that we work on, and it became a dream of mine to have an app that I could deploy to the store, something that I could show for my efforts besides my paycheck. And a cool side project. And I initially started working on a side project on iOS, building a TikTok clone of all things. And it got to the point where I thought this just doesn't really fit like who I am as a creative person and an idealistic person. And, if I got to work with somebody who was just the right person who had that vision, I feel like it'd be like a yin yang, right? Our forces could combine. And just as all this was going through my head, I came across one Ashley Darling on Threads with a plus next to her. I hadn't friended her at all, and she asked, I wish I had a developer. And of course, we see that a lot as developers. You get it in your inbox. You see people asking, and I kind of dug into her background a little bit, and I said, okay, this is like a person I could be friends with, like outside of my professional life. This is somebody I would have been friends with in my teens and 20s for sure. So I reached out, and we assembled a team. This quote unquote side hustle became a lot more serious. From my perspective, we had to be a delivery team. As boring as that sounds, we had to have a sprint. We had to have a Jira board. We needed a product manager. We needed a UX person, and everything came together.
Yeah, well, welcome to our side hustle. This is because as a profession, Zach is a benefits administrator for Goodyear. I am
all that's wrong.
So Zach does stuff in benefits. I am a quality assurance software engineer for an insurance software company. So that's what we do to pay the bills. What is your technical job, Zach? I'm sorry.
I am a benefits operations specialist for Michelin.
What did I say? Goodyear?
Yeah. And you said admin too. I do not administer benefits. I am said expert. I am figuring out plans.
You know what also sucks is being the oldest person on a platform, because there's no way anyone here is as old as me. At my age, your memory starts to go. I'm going to see 64 this year.
Well, I'm the nerdiest one, because when Ashley was talking about pronouncing silicon right, I was like, yes, it is the second most abundant element in the universe, and it needs its respect.
Yes.
Love it.
Carbon only gets so much.
Right.
Give silicon his due.
So okay, so you guys meet. Ashley, you tell Chris what your vision is. Chris, I assume at that point you say, okay, these are what I can bring to this. Let's decide. It's not an instantaneous thing. I mean, you can do it on the side and start working on getting things set up. You can set up an API and you can start setting up an app and getting demonstrations of it and things like that. But like, how? There's got to be money involved, right? There's money involved at this point. Do you all have like investors that are helping to take care of getting this released?
So I think one of the really astonishing things about us is that we are fully bootstrapped to this point. It is incredible how much progress you can make on something like this for free, or very, very little. And so our team has been sort of covering the incidental costs here and there of everything from, Adobe Creative Suite to, the AWS costs to Zoom. We've kind of been covering that up till now. And we're currently in a fundraising round. So if you or anyone knows of angel investors, we would love to talk to them. I think it's challenging for us going into this, fundraising, because we're so very protective over why we started this project. And we've received such an incredible amount of early traction that, quite honestly, is unprecedented for any other social media platform out there at the stage that we're at. And so we've definitely had interest. The problem so far is that some of this interest is really only seeing the dollar signs. They're seeing this as a build it, churn it, burn it, walk away, collect your millions, and move on to the next one. And while that's a very valid way to do business, that's just not the way that we're approaching it here at Neptune. And so we're being incredibly choosy about who we're working with. And the other thing about a lot of VCs is they want that like buy-in literally. So they're saying, we're giving you a big chunk of change. We have an agenda here. We want to make sure you're promoting these types of creators. We want to make sure that you are, selling this narrative. We want to make sure, nobody's talking about XYZ on your platform. That's also been a challenge because as a team that's very rooted in punk rock, we don't like to be told what to say and what to do. And neither do the other people that are signed up for our platform. That's a huge draw for our user base. So out of respect to them, out of us wanting to be able to sleep at night with our integrity intact, we're moving forward as best as we can, bootstrapped, until we have those investors in place who are absolutely aligned with our mission.
It feels so much like the plot of Silicon Valley, right? I assume everyone has watched Silicon Valley on HBO. That's what that sounds like. Because I remember the first few seasons of them going into meetings with these venture capitalists to try and sell them, So I mean, you've gone through that. That's been your
as long as you're not
life.
trying to calculate how long it's going to take to jerk off 800 guys to get your proposal.
No, we haven't done that yet.
That's not been a calculation. Never say never, but so far, no.
Never say. Yeah.
All data is helpful.
Barrett's been in some sticky predicaments where that calculation has come to fruition.
I've worked for several software companies that no. So, Chris, you're also it has you listed as the cloud architect. So, server space, that I assume that on this, basically this beginning process, you all are having to take care of the cost of that right now too.
Yeah, correct. So with AWS cloud, there's several clouds. There's GCP, there's Azure, right? Most of these clouds, they are free to build on. You can create an account. You can use the free tier. The part of their marketing 5 years ago was the democratization of cloud. And we can build without having to pay until we get volume, right? So, the issue there is then the skill set. And I wouldn't be surprised if more teams like ours pop up where, just, I want to say regular people from around the country where we work from home. We can get together and start a business very similar to starting a small business together. I'm actually kind of surprised there hasn't been more success stories, among teams that have gotten together and attempted to build in the cloud, just because of the cost. I mean, our cost was under $5 almost every month leading up until December. And the only reason it went higher is because our domain got hit so much during our rise there. But, you do have to have some expertise, as far as your developers, building out and having, I would say the developers are the most expensive parts of any of these projects. The vast majority of what we see out there as far as small teams are people without developers trying to raise money for like an external consultancy or something to build their stuff. Right. And so, I think that we are fortunate that we have a team of developers that are dedicated, towards this, and that idealism you heard, earlier, that's something that we all share, that energizes us to go forward.
Neptune, just based purely on all of the feedback that I see in Discord, and also, by the way, you've got some amazing moderators and administrators on Discord who are just the friendliest people.
Yeah.
I'll see 6 of them just get on chat and a voice and video chat, and I jumped in at one point just say hey to them, and absolutely some of the most friendly people I think I've ever met, and no reason to be nice to me. They don't know who I am, but just how many beta users do you all have currently testing the app for you?
Chris, I don't know the final head count. So.
There's probably like 30 in there.
Okay.
I think right now. Yeah, they've made 250 videos at last check. So they're in there right now. The app looks very simplistic. It very much resembles TikTok at this moment. What we're testing are the scaling. We're testing volume. What's coming into our servers, right? So the front of the app. I don't want to say the front of the app is trivial, but we were presented with a situation in December where we knew we were going to have users on day one, and that kind of changes our calculus for how we want to release with beta and MVP. Initially you build an app, you try to claw for every single user, every single, mom, dad, cousin Jim, the neighbor, right? And when we got all this attention, all of these email signups and beta user signups, we had to make sure our cloud services were locked down, whether it's scaling or security. So when our users are going in right now, we're more or less testing, okay, when they upload a video, how many services did they use? Is there anything hanging? Are there any queues that are left, right? All that fun stuff. And that's primarily what we're testing right now. There are actually features built in the app that I've commented out, if you know what that means, like our comment section itself. And it will come to life one day for our beta users. And I've been pushing updates to them daily. And so that's very exciting because they re-log in and say, "Ooh, what's this new thing?"
Nice.
So it's very exciting. And just to speak selfishly as a developer, there is no more joy in designing a system or anything and then building it in a few days, getting it quickly QA tested, and immediately thousands of people are involved in it, right?
Yeah.
And this happened with our username reservation system, which had 150,000 users 5 days after I built it. And that's, as a software developer, I feel like I'm living the dream.
That ultimately I think was what I was trying to get to, was because it so you may only have around 30 or so beta users currently testing the app, but there are hundreds of thousands of people that have signed up that want in, right? That's so just aside from, Zach and myself, like, have we seen like any interest from any of the other social media platforms that have wanted to potentially make their appearance?
Make their appearance as in like come onto our platform, or
to have their user have at Meta or at Facebook.
No.
No, not yet.
I'm sure at some point, but I think for right now, we're still, while we're a major contender for like the new upstarts, and our name certainly has been mentioned in rooms with TikTok as the replacement right alongside Blue Sky and Red Note and all of that, I think we're still small enough to kind of fly under the radar of Meta right now. But I will say we definitely do have some plants from other social media platforms in our Discord server.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's always fun to find the imposter.
Yeah.
If
Zuckerberg
were to say our name, that would do us a whole lot of good.
Say it, Zuck. Say it.
Just say it.
Well, that brings me, you mentioned it. Where did the name come from? Where's Neptune? What was the thought behind that?
So when I first pitched this to Chris, the name was actually Gallery because I wanted everybody's profile to feel like their own personal gallery where they could show off their stuff. But we found out that there was already a social, like it wasn't like social, but it was like a video and photo sharing platform called Gallery. So we had to nix that. So we went to the next iteration, which was Mosaic, which was fun and cool. But again, it wasn't the right vibes. Then we went to Mood Board, which is actually where we got our icon Moody. That's when he showed up right along that timeline of evolution. And so we had him and we liked Mood Board. But again, we ran into this issue of there was a photo sharing platform called Mood Board. And I was like, it's so, I just don't want to have issues down the road. And so we scrapped Mood Board, and it took us a few weeks from that point to really iterate on a new name. And I was an absolute like menace to anyone in my vicinity at the time because I'm looking at the patterns of previous social media platforms, right? You've got Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. So I'm like, it's got to be 2 syllables. So I'm in here trying to create nonsense words, flim flam, wick whack, OM, genus, like all of these, like it was obnoxious. Like my poor fiance was like, maybe let's talk about something else. And I was like, something
My God.
else book. Like it was nuts. I lived and breathed this for 2 weeks. And so I finally was like, literally. And so I was like, well, let's look at the themes. And so I was like, okay, so we have, X, which everyone still kind of knows as Twitter, which is like the little bird and like super cute, whatever. X is just like, whatever. And then there's Facebook, which was like too old to really have any sort of theme. And then TikTok has the music note. Snapchat has the ghost. Like there's little themes. And I'm like, okay, no one's done a space or an underwater theme. I was like, the closest space theme we have is Reddit, who's got the little alien guy. But no one's really kind of themed it out. And so I thought, okay, so like what are some, so I asked like ChatGPT, what are some related words to space and sea? Like what's the crossover here? And, I got a lot of different answers, but then Neptune came up and I was like, okay, Neptune, that's cool. And it like didn't sink in right away. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's 2 syllables immediately in the yes pile. So then I kind of like let it roll around for a few days and I like brought it to the team and I was like, what about Neptune? What do you guys think about this? And they were like, yeah, no, like we vibe with it. And like, it happens to be my favorite planet anyway. It's like the same color as our little octopus Moody, still blue themed. And I like Neptune because it just always has this air of mystery about it as a planet. Like it feels like undiscovered and like really just intriguing. And that's kind of how I see our creators. And then, of course, it kind of ties in with the nautical theme as well, as a god of the sea. So that's how we settled upon Neptune. And it was available. That was the other big problem we were running into is we couldn't find any of this stuff on like Instagram. Nothing was available. And so the Neptune app was available on literally, URL, TikTok, Instagram, all of it. The Neptune app was available. So we were like, well, that's it.
Well, I'll give you this. Hearing that story, I'll give you this pro bono. Deep and far out.
Love it.
I love it.
I was just scared Zach was going to suggest Uranus, and
no, I like Neptune. It's on the wrong axis and everything. It stands out from all the other planets.
It does. That is very true.
It's true.
So, Chris, I know with a lot of the platforms, they struggle when they explode in popularity. How is Neptune preparing to scale for what is definitely going to wind up being just an onslaught of user registration once it's available publicly?
That's a very open-ended question, Barrett.
Sure, of course.
Because there's a technical answer to that. There's a feature answer and there's business that we have to take into consideration. We have costs behind all of our cloud services. And like Ashley said, the ideal is that we own Neptune as much as possible. And how do we bootstrap to get to scale, right? I think the clear answer is monetization as early as possible from our perspective. Creators want to monetize. Creators are looking at a platform with a lot of interest in it. So I think we could attract some creators that would, play along with that. But as a tech guy, what excites me are the CDNs, the availability zones. How much data is a user going to use when they log into the app? How many requests are they going to make back? How much volume of videos are they going to watch? How does that hit our file store? How does that hit our database? And take all of it and divide by number of users, right? And we'll have our answers throughout beta testing. I'm really excited to see how large the numbers can get. To be fair, I'm kind of a nerd for these things. I think there's going to be more data than we know what to do with, which is a good place to be.
Yeah.
One of the well, and I'll just say, I think one of the things that you all benefit from is the looming cloud of what the federal government's trying to do as far as what TikTok is either going to be or either not going to be. So having availability of an application that on paper right now is going to be built in a way that's going to benefit the users more than just, pushing content to people that they may not necessarily want. I mean, a lot of my posts that I put on TikTok or YouTube and things like that are satirical looks at politics and specifically the administration now. So I will make jokes and things that make you think, and then ultimately I don't necessarily want that content coming back at me. So to have the availability of some sort of, because nobody in my mind, nobody's as funny as me. Zach is limited in his comedic ability, but sorry, Zach.
My mom says I'm hilarious. So does my wife. So,
but but so like when I see that same sort of content coming back at me, that's the first thing I do is I flip the app on. I move on to something else. But I'm encouraged by the ability to not potentially see the same thing over and over and explore some of what else is available. I think my experience with, so I did log into RedNote. I mean, RedNote became something my wife pointed me at, and I jumped on there, and I have really enjoyed a lot of what I've seen.
Yes, Barrett did log on to RedNote.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
He knew. He asked me this morning. But RedNote is one that I've enjoyed learning new things about cultural differences between us and China and preconceived notions about what goes on in China and how people live their daily lives. I went to school in the 80s and 90s, and I even, looking back on what we were taught in our public school system made me think that China was a great place, but the people don't seem, they don't seem oppressed like I think that I was taught to think they were.
But you do still think you can dig a hole straight down to China?
I can't dig a hole at all. I have to hire people for that. What are you talking about? But so I guess, when it comes to what it is that you all are doing, it sounds like that's one of the focuses. It's not to just pigeonhole somebody into, but to give them the availability to see and recognize, or learn new stuff. I think that's a really, really cool thing that's going to be going on there. Ashley, our show sort of thrives on questioning the status quo. So
Yeah.
what's one of the main mainstream social media features that Neptune is going to refuse to implement? Is there anything that you all have recognized that you just don't want to do?
Oh, gosh. There's a couple things. I think the first one is like AI powered fact checking.
Okay.
I think that's been a really hot topic lately, just with everything going on with Meta and whatnot. I think for us, AI powered fact checking presents several issues. The fact that we are so very clear about our support and backing of BIPOC, queer and disabled folks, those are often the folks whose history gets written over, whose facts get checked because they don't match the AI model that was trained by a bunch of white people. And I think that's been something that a lot of people have said, well, you're going to have fact checking. Now, granted, we will allow people to report misinformation, because certainly we don't want people spreading harmful misinformation. That's going to be very clearly spelled out in our guidelines, but we're not implementing AI fact checking. So I think that's probably the first one. The next one, which I don't know if you guys are even really familiar with this side of social media, is live stream agencies. So live stream agencies really have kind of, I guess we could say, risen to power in the last couple years as live stream, particularly on TikTok, has gotten more mainstream, and more people are live streaming. And essentially, it's these agencies that pay their creators to go live, knowing their creators will get gifts. But each creator has a quota for how many hours a day they have to be live. And oftentimes these agencies tend to be very exploitive. I've definitely seen some evidence that some of them can be fronts for human trafficking. And
Wow.
it just digs us into a hole that I don't want to be a part of. So we're not going to be collaborating with agencies. I know TikTok has carved out a really specific piece of their back end to enable these agencies to do what they do. That's not something we're going to be doing.
Yeah. And from our perspective on our podcast, so we don't really meet the criteria of what an agency wants. We did our podcast did join an agency only because it gave us the ability to go live quicker without the number of followers. But we don't get a lot of gifts because
we got a rose one time. We were like, "Ooh,
yeah." So I think we have 3 cents banked in our TikTok. And I think it's mostly because a lot of the stuff that we get, people are not going to gift us when we give our opinions on politics and such. But that does totally make sense as far as like, I had no idea that was some of the stuff that was going on with agencies as far as like, and now that I think on it, some of the content that I scroll past, it's almost like it's the QVC home shopping network. And it's not necessarily people just wanting to have conversations or talk about things all the time. It's somebody selling something, or it's somebody just dancing, I guess.
Those auto insurance ones get me now, where like they'll lead you on for like a minute and you're just like, whoa, he's going to buy this guy AirPods and he's going to take him. Like, why is this person fall? And then they're like, let me show you one more thing after I gave you $5,000 in these for your AirPod Maxes.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're like,
Yeah.
if you got onto this app and we can get you the best car insurance, you're like, Jesus, I just watched this whole thing for like
That was a waste of my time. Yeah.
Do you know, I had no idea that was an auto insurance commercial.
I didn't either.
I had
Dude, it's
no
at the end they
idea.
get you.
No,
You're
they
just like,
make you wait till the end before they do their big like reveal, and then you're like, damn,
Yeah.
I just wasted minutes of my life watching this, and now, yeah. Thankfully, I got off that side of TikTok pretty quickly, but like that was wild. I think, okay, so I thought of one more thing that's like, people have been really excited that we're not participating in the status quo here, is we do not allow parent managed accounts for children on the platform.
Okay.
This is social media for grownups. We're 17 plus. And so one of the biggest questions that we got asked, well, what about, can I post family content? Can I post content with my kids in it and all of that? And like, we do have a space carved out for family content. We understand that that's, a way that a lot of families connect. They get education that maybe they weren't able to get from their own parents on how to raise kids or take care of babies and, things like that. Like the representation is important, but we're going to take a very firm stance on not allowing content that's just featuring children, and there will be no parent managed accounts allowed on Neptune. So that's been a really big flag planted that a lot of people are very in support of, because I think that just gives a lot of people the ick. And to be fair to all of these parent managed accounts, there's still places for them elsewhere on social media. So it just won't be on Neptune.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think when I first joined TikTok, most of my comments were from like kids like, that's funny. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what are children doing? Like, even
Shouldn't
with the content
you be in
I posted,
bed? This is a school night.
What is this? Like, yeah. No, I think that's fantastic.
These are the same kids that used to just slaughter me in Call of Duty. Just, I feel like that's a certainty.
Still do.
I know privacy is one of the big things that a lot of people talk about, like with TikTok, this national security threat that they think China poses. Is there going to be anything that you all, I guess, is there any attention to how privacy is going to be handled with the Neptune app?
Chris, do you want to take this one?
I mean, yeah, I can speak on a technical level. One of my hard fast rules is that all the data remains in house. So if we have a virtual cloud, a VPC, it stays behind us. So any integrations we would perform with a third party, we would prefer that they deploy inside of us, where we have complete ownership of it. Looking at like Cambridge Analytica with what happened with Facebook. Cambridge Analytica were one of dozens of companies that did business with Facebook, doing data analysis, and Facebook would gladly hand over the data analysis or the access to it. The issue there is you don't know everybody working at Cambridge Analytica. You don't know anybody working at these companies. And we know our security posture. We know our policies. And I'd much rather, consider solutions that are internal to us rather than working with a third party facing company that wants to suck our data out through a hose, do whatever they want. And in our data, I think of it, my email's in there too. What do I want to have happen to my email? What do I want to have happen to my data? So treating it that way, it feels very personal. And everything you type into your messages, everything you post, these companies own it. They can see it. They can go in the database. There you are. And they're choosing who to expose that information to. So, I've been very mindful about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that I guess people understand, if it sounded technical, what Chris is talking about is how in some apps that you use, you potentially click on something that then goes to another app, or it automatically shifts data to another app that would potentially automatically fill in like a form or something for you to sign up for something, that sort of thing. We APIs and such. And the only reason I know that is because I work for a software company where we are now testing a new API for,
right,
which is going to be a complete waste of time. But sorry.
Yeah.
When,
I do have a hard line at it. It feels like the right thing, and it doesn't feel terribly difficult. I don't feel like I'm encumbering upon a third party that want to work with us. So it just feels like the right thing to do. It's something I would hope any company that I'm working with would also think of their users that way.
Yeah. What are some of the glitches and the growing pains that you all have experienced just from start to now beta testing? Like what has, for we'll go with Chris first. What is something that has made you throw your fists on the desk?
Users reserving more than one handle.
Oh, come on.
He took mine.
It hasn't even launched yet. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. Keep talking. No. No. So we have a feature. We had a feature which may come back where users can go over to our website and they can place an email in, whoever they are, and they can place in 3 handles. And then those handles get reserved in our system. The system checks if a handle's already reserved, it rejects you, right? Fair enough. We had hundreds of thousands of people do this in a very short period of time. And it's led us to understand, how do we construct an account? What is the concept of an account? And how can you have 3 handles? And if you block somebody who has 3 handles, do you block that one handle, or do you block all the handles they own? Do you block all future handles they're ever going to make? Mm-hmm. Right. And so we have to think of these things. If you block somebody, they appear on your block list, right? You can unblock them. Do you see all 3 of their other handles, or the other 2? Right. And then if they remove that handle, are there handles they have in space somewhere that you've blocked that you're never going to get back again? I don't know. There's a lot to think about. And to be fair, it drew a ton of traffic to our site, and it brought a lot of attention to us. People were posting using green screen filters. They were posting on social media. Look at my handle I got. And those videos were going viral. So I will concede that it was a good idea from the marketing business standpoint, but technically it was a little bit of a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
We all know how it is to fight over a gamer tag.
That's one of those weird things. Like my handle is just my name, but I worked in radio and television for years before I even had to go get a real job. And so like when I was on the radio, I had a nickname, but everybody knew me by my name. So to have a handle that's different from just my name, it to me that feels odd. Like if I want to be recognized for anything, I'd prefer it not to be, tippity top man 14.
Did you reserve DJ Fuzzy Nuts?
I did not deserve. See, and I don't think I deserve that. So Zach's uncle was on the show because he has a band in North Carolina, and they asked him to come up with a nickname for me, and he called me DJ Fuzzy Nuts. It was one
Solid.
night. He didn't.
The band's name is even better. It's Your Mama's New Boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. I mean, that's fine.
Ashley, what if Chris didn't already take your answer? What's something that has made you just completely aggravated and throw your hands in the air?
Oh my gosh. Well, what day of the week? So as the CEO, right, my job is like the very wise crow that like flies over the whole thing. So like there's things in different departments where I'm just like, like it freaks me out over these things. I think one of the biggest though was kind of what Chris said in terms of people reserving their user handles. And from my perspective, it was a fantastic marketing technique. Absolutely great. We, like Chris said, we got a ton of traction. The problem was that a lot of these users don't know how to spell things, or they were like screwing around and they're like, yeah, hi. They would send an email to support and they'd say, I accidentally reserved the username fart. Can I change it? Because I don't actually want that. I was just testing to see if it worked. Are you kidding me? I reserved my sister's username. How do I undo that? Are you joking me? I accidentally put .corn instead of .com. Okay, let's spell check things next time. Like what people are typing with their elbows. That was what made me want to slam my head on the desk, because while this was a great success, like we also had thousands of emails in our support going, I need you to change the spelling on this. That was not great success. That was annoying. And ultimately, it was just taking our dev team away from doing what they had to do to get us to beta, because they were spending so much time going into the database, changing fart to whatever this other person wanted. And it's like, come on. So that was probably one of the biggest things there was that. And then I think for me, just the frustration of trying to articulate why we're here and constantly seeing so much misinformation and just so much slander going around the internet space. And we've made it a really big point never to badmouth our quote unquote competition. We really don't see ourselves in competition with anyone because we're solving a different problem in a different way than really anyone else in the space. So we kind of just stay in our lane, keep our head down and work. We do have a lot of other social media platforms, a lot of the other upstart ones just like us who are coming onto the scene and saying, oh, these Neptune people, and have you heard? And like that's fine. But can't you do your marketing without having to tear somebody else down? And so that to me is frustrating, because that to me shows a lack of creativity in your marketing department. Like you can't think of anything else good to say about yourself, that you have to go tear other people down. We've been called Nepo babies. People are convinced we're working with Zuckerberg. They're convinced we're all secretly Chinese. They're convinced that, we're all MAGA. They're convinced that, you name it. There's a rumor out there. Like I've been slut shamed. I've been slandered. I've had just complete lies told about me on the internet. Like, and that's the price you pay for, being visible and being in the public space. They're trying to do something different than what's been done before, is people are going to hate on you because they don't know what else to say about it. It hasn't worked yet. They haven't seen the results yet. So they're just going to gravitate towards skepticism and negativity. So that's been something that I've had to navigate, the team's had to navigate. But ultimately, like I said, we stay in our lane, we put our head down, and we go to work every day.
do you feel like your time earlier as an influencer prepared you a little bit better for that potential negativity?
Yeah, definitely. I think I didn't experience it to the level that we're experiencing it now. But I definitely went through that. Back when I was an influencer, I got really big on TikTok, and it was awesome. It was a really fun ride, and I had built my entire platform based off of this like original character I had come up with for Mafia TikTok, and it was really fun. And my audience and I had, a great time playing around with that. And I went through some personal stuff. I wound up getting a divorce, and they just leveled me. I had smear campaigns going on. I had, and it didn't matter what the reason was. It didn't matter who I was, didn't matter what I was doing. It gave people something to talk about. And ultimately that was one of the reasons I walked away from that career as an influencer, was because I was like, I don't want this pressure. I don't want to be this. I don't want to do this. And so I buckled and I walked away, and I regret that. Like I think everything's a lesson learned. I carry very few regrets with me, but walking away and deleting that platform is a big one for me. But I think, like one of those little video game characters, like I go through and I collect all the things, and I have all the tools now in my arsenal to like come at this final boss of like launching Neptune, and having this onslaught of people who are like, are you really sure? Like, this seems irrelevant. Like, why does it matter that you're a woman? Why does it matter that you're queer? Why does it matter that you're doing this? Like, nobody needs this. Nobody wants this. I mean, like all day, it's just chatter, but it allows me to like tune most of that out. And just continue moving forward. And there are times like I'm literally just a girl. There are times when it really truly hurts my feelings. And I've had a moment on team calls where Chris has, done like, hey, let's do a mental health check-in. Where's everybody at? And I'll turn my camera off and they'll be like, Ashley, are you crying? And I'm just like, no. And like I am. So I come back on camera and they're like, what's the matter? I'm like, people are so mean. We're just trying to do something nice. And it's like I have my girl moments and then we get back to it, like it just, this is life. It's going to be this way indefinitely. Yeah. And so it's all a growth process. And so learning to lean into understanding that the chatter's going to be there regardless of who you are, regardless of how you show up. You can't be liked by everyone, nor should you try to be. So like, put your head down, go to work, do the right thing, and stay secure in that.
That's, I think that's amazing that it seems like you have a really great team. How many people are on the Neptune team currently?
Oh my goodness. We keep growing. I feel like every
9?
week we're onboarding something new. Is it 9 now?
I think it's 9 at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I come from an environment where as far as like, and Chris probably recognizes some of this, but when you work for a software company, one of the things that you're constantly struggling with as a lead or a manager, I'm constantly having to keep the borders, having to make sure to maintain roles and responsibilities to keep other groups, other departments from coming in and trying to take advantage of the experience that somebody on my team has, or pulling them out to do something else, and having to set up boundaries that are constantly just, someone's always trying to rip them down. But also just come into the defense of my team, because, we do quality assurance software testing. And if something gets missed, it's not necessarily because we missed something. It's because somebody in the business side of it didn't write the requirements the way they needed to be written in order to make sure that there wasn't a gap for that sort of thing. But I think what you guys are doing is really cool. I really look forward to being able to log on one day and start creating content for people to see, because I think that we're worth being seen, and I think the Neptune app is one that we're excited about, being in at the beginning process. So
Barrett's awesome at posting videos and stuff, and I'm still in shock about how many followers he's gotten us so far. And he's like, "Man, you should get on there and just make a quick video." And I'm like, "Dude, I can't. I don't even." I loved making funny videos. I'm one of those ones who would do like the repeat mouth stuff. That was fun. Or reenact Super Troopers with a pickle. That was fun.
Before all this, my videos got like tens of views, and now I actually withdraw a little bit because I'm a little more careful of what I say because people cling to things, and it's one thing to get into a little argument online. It's another when there's like these 20 people say something about you, these 20 people say something, and there's this group of people that have gelled around us that I'm starting to adore, though. And I do think that part is important as well, is that, there's this kind of cast of characters that are they pop up regularly in the comments or wherever, and they're like, you guys suck, but then there's these people we've actually met that, like the Neptune news guy, right? He makes these videos, Paul Bradley. He makes these videos. He's just, he understands our enthusiasm, and it's awesome what he does. And there's like random comedians that make really funny videos. There's even some like anime, I don't know what they're doing. I'm not in that space, but I see their videos like promoting Moody, like on adventures. We have in the Discord, there's a selfie section. There's thousands and thousands of people that are posting selfies of who we're going to be, who we are. And on Neptune, we have an artwork competition. There's artwork of Moody where it looks like some of them are like in crayon and some of them are really, really like exquisite
nice.
Pieces. So it's like when you have a community, you're going to have this kind of, this gelling of all these different people. And where I was going with this in that Ashley has been here before. So when I was younger, I was in a punk band. We played to dozens of people. And we would go to the mall and pass out flyers. Come to the show, come to the show, come to the show, right? And you would do this for weeks leading up to the show. And your flyer was like Weekly World News, like cutouts with like the cereal box, right? And like the serial killer words, right? Come to the show, $5, right? And so I think of those days like promoting my band. And I do feel like being in this group here does feel like a band. We spent 6 months building this out and with that expectation of having to fight for people, right? And then we have videos that go viral in December. I call it our Pearl Harbor Day. And we have this Pearl Harbor Day, and suddenly I have 99 plus notifications. Literally, like I refresh and there's 99 more. Refresh and there's 99 more. I'm like, what is happening? And Ashley has been a very good help with how I can handle that. And going live and just not responding to people that are saying ridiculous things. However, if it gets so ridiculous, we will definitely respond to it.
We've gotten spicy on some of our live streams before. Just like there's some people that'll push your buttons long enough that you're just like, you know what?
Yeah.
Truth Social's that way. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Mine is a little girl named, I assume it's a girl named Lily, who shows up on when I go live on like a Saturday morning just to talk about politics or whatever, try and convince people, just be nice to each other. It doesn't cost you anything to just suck it up and be friendly. I have this one person that shows up every time, and I refuse to block whoever that individual is because part of it's entertainment. And that's one of the things that I live by is everything between birth and death is just entertainment. As long as it's not negatively impacting somebody, knowingly trying to harm someone, it's just entertainment. But if it is negatively impacting somebody, then I'll fucking stand right up and step in front of them because I disenfranchise communities, especially after President Trump was elected. That was one of the things that I got more messages and contacts from people like that I know locally here in Columbia, South Carolina, purely just out of fear of what's going to happen now that being trans, they don't feel like human beings anymore because they've been completely marginalized outside of society by the one person in the country who gets to be our leader. So, that's, I think, and Zach can probably acknowledge the same thing, that's one of the things that we will always do is defend the people that need to be defended. So,
you don't have to get it, but you definitely don't have a right to be a dick about it. Any stretch of the imagination. So we'll always stand up for those people who are, like Bear said, disenfranchised, not on the what people call normal side of things, whatever. You're not them. They're not you. They get a voice.
I'm the fucking least normal person I've ever known in my entire life. So, top that. So,
I feel that.
Well,
yeah, it's so this. I would just say that this era, right now, what a time to be a creative, an artist, a punk rocker with something to say, especially politically. Unfortunately, we have to learn lessons as a society, and committing acts such as Donald Trump, or those are things that we may have to go through together. And I think of how many artists arise out of moments like this, how many activists do, and yeah, you if you see something you don't like, I mean, say something. Normalizing this stuff just gives it more power.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris, Ashley, we really appreciate you coming on the show with us. We look forward to the Neptune app being launched. But before you go, I do have some questions, because we have a segment on our program we call 7 Questions.
Okay.
So you have to go through with these, whether you like it or not.
Oh.
So
we'll ask them 1 through 7, and you both just each take a turn answering what you would do.
Take a turn. Okay.
So first question: what was the last thing you Googled?
Or being Door Ask Jeeves, whichever you do.
Oh, I Googled how to fix my mouse because it was doing an automatic horizontal scroll on any web page or application that allowed a horizontal scroll. I couldn't figure out how to fix it. I had to uninstall the driver and reinstall it. And I figured, so I Googled that.
Who is still developing web pages that have horizontal scrolling on it? For the life of
Google
me.
Sheets. I was in Google Sheets, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense. I just imagine some college kid's first time with HTML and having to go all the way to the left to see the other side
right?
Of the all right, Chris, what was the last thing you Googled?
I'm going to sound really cool, but I was Googling Hellcat Records.
Okay.
So,
hey.
Okay.
There you go.
Nice.
I was having a day.
All right. Second question. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I've always said that I think the superpower that I would like to have would be mind reading. I'm generally actually pretty good at reading people, but I like to be sure. It causes me a lot of anxiety sometimes. I'm autistic and ADHD, so reading people is very important to me, and it's hard for me to do sometimes. So I think mind reading would probably be the one.
See, and I'm unfortunately one of those people that, so I've never been tested as autistic, ADHD, anything like that, but I am one of those people that recognizes people. I'm a highly acute to observations about behavior, so I can almost tell what somebody is either thinking or what their action is going to be purely based on what I've observed, which ultimately then my superpower is I can make those people cry very quickly. So, Chris, what's your superpower?
I don't know if I can follow that.
You can be like me. I just want to fly.
So this is my superpower. Okay, don't judge me for it. However, I would love the ability to sleep on command and stay asleep. I feel like any kind of personal suffering I go through in life is exacerbated by being tired that day.
Chris, where do you live in the States?
I live in Connecticut.
Connecticut. Okay. So chloroform and pot, both of those. It's
legal here.
I don't know
what chloroform
Problem solved.
Look, Zach
Barrett is not a doctor, though he plays them on a podcast.
Zach can tell you. I had a doctor that used to live across the street from me, and I asked him several times, "Is there any way you can get a hold of chloroform? I just want to try it on me. I want to see what happens. Do I wake up with a
Barrett
little cough?"
had a police van parked outside his house for 6 months.
All right. Next question number 3. If your life were a movie, what would the title be?
Oh, God.
Not an easy one.
That's a good one. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Because I feel like now I'm trying to look at my life through the lens of different people, right?
Okay. Well, all right. So I'll do this. Chris, you're a musician. Zach's a musician. Ashley, you're an influencer. If you
I'm
had
a musician.
movie,
It's fine.
okay, musician too. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's say if you had a movie made about you, what would the opening song track to the title be? Like as the movie's opening, what would the song be?
Okay, so hear me out because this is going to take a second to explain. So there's this artist and his name is J2, and he takes like random songs and he like remixes and redoes them to sound like movie epic trailers. So he does this version of I Will Survive, like, you know, the disco hit, Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. He does this like movie trailer style version of I Will Survive. Gives me chills every time. So it would be that one.
I'll have to look that up.
I think I've heard of him. And
J2, look him up.
Yeah.
Like if you need to hype yourself up before going somewhere and be like, yeah, you roll up to the function. You're like, I'm the shit. You listen to J2 first. You're like, I'm ready. Power pose. Let's go. It's good stuff.
Chris, what's your opening song title?
I think it would be Machine Head by Bush.
Okay.
Or maybe Smells Like Teen Spirit. Sure.
Okay. Zach, what would your I've never asked Zach this question.
Oh God. It'd probably be Mothers of Men by Coheed and Cambria.
Okay. All right. That's good. Mine would be Underground by Ben Folds 5. I don't know why that would be, that's what I wanted to open up with.
I was really close to saying APT by Rose.
That's
My daughter listens to it all the time. It's in my brain.
His 4-year-old daughter listens to it all the time. All right. Question number 4. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Tiramisu.
Oh, okay.
It's easy. Salad with tomatoes, red wine vinegar, oil, and mozzarella cheese.
Well, that sounds delicious.
That sounds so good.
Actually,
I'm going to have salad for dinner now.
Every day.
Every day? You have that every day?
Every day I eat a salad every single day. Yeah.
I love that for you, Chris.
You know, yeah, good and good for you, Chris.
Cola needs the roughage.
We're gonna stay in touch. I feel like I need Chris as my my weight loss mentor now. If I email him like, hey, I'm thinking about having a Jamaican pastry, beef pastry with some sauce on top.
No,
yeah.
Salad is a lazy meal. It's a lazy meal. You throw it all in a bowl and you just go and eat it.
It is.
All right, question number 5. What is your least favorite candy and why?
Tootsie Rolls. They look like little turds and they don't taste good.
No, what the hell? Yeah,
I think that's
I'm right there with you.
That is almost literally what Zach has quoted about Tootsie Rolls before.
It's the most worthless candy.
You understand. I don't know who chooses
Right
those first. I've never met someone whose favorite candy is Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, you're just gonna chew on it for a while. You're not gonna be happy that you're in it once you start. You're unhappy when you unwrap it. Yeah, it's not.
You get to the bowl and that's the only thing in there. You're like, oh no, I'm good.
You're like, I wasn't hungry for candy. Nope.
I think I lost 3 teeth chewing on this. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Crowns, they pop right off.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Junior Mints. They taste like toothpaste. Like I'm eating gobs of toothpaste.
That's fair.
It feels wrong to me.
That's fair. My son comes home from work, like he works at Little Caesars. The store that he works at is directly next to a grocery store. He'll come home with a box of Thin Mints. It's not open. It's just sitting on the counter. It's like, whose Thin Mints are these? He'll claim them, but I never see anybody eat them. So, it's
I will eat all the mint flavored things. I ate toothpaste as a child religiously and graduated to Thin Mints and Junior Mints.
All right.
And
then you can have my Junior Mints.
Yeah.
You can have
mint chocolate chip ice cream is my favorite.
Okay.
I'm a minty girl. It's fine. No shame.
Barrett, I picture you saying no one ever eats them, but the box is gone, and you just wake up with chocolate on your mouth. You're like, no.
Where did they go?
That's my
Did I brush my teeth?
Yeah, my Mr. Hyde is apparently a really big fan of Thin Mints. All right. Excuse me. Question number 6. What is one strange or unusual talent that you have that no one knows?
I can turn my tongue into like a 3-leaf clover.
Okay. All right.
I think we've had one other guest bring that up as their talent as well.
I think we've had one other guest say that. Yeah.
I can tie a cherry stem into a knot with my tongue.
Nice.
I used to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You give me and my dementiated mouth enough time. I'll get that done.
Well, I'm really good at this. By the way. Look.
There you go.
Chris, put your thumb back together.
Oh my God.
I'm that guy at the kids for the elementary school. I'm like, hey kid,
pulling the quarter out of someone's ear. Don't spend this all in one place, kiddo.
If I tried to tie like a cherry stem with my tongue, I would just be like in the corner of a room looking like Sling Blade. Like,
yeah, you're like.
I can blow air out of one of my eye sockets.
You
No.
can, and it's fucking disgusting.
How is that
You want to hear it?
possible?
You want to
It
hear
whistles.
it? Here, listen.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's coming. Yeah, it's coming out. It's
I've seen it in person. It's
not.
disgusting.
It's not super
my
comfortable.
gosh.
Somebody asked me, how'd you find out you could do that? I sneezed and ultimately
Oh my
something
gosh.
popped.
My eyeballs fell out.
But it's like,
He's just like a pug. He's just like a pug. He's like, hold on, guys. I gotta.
Fantastic.
I was like,
my
Barry, you ever
gosh.
shot milk out of it? He's like, no, this is as far as I go. I was like, I got the snake,
Because
Oh yeah.
spaghetti noodle.
I used to watch David Letterman. He had stupid human pet tricks, and that was one of the things that somebody came on there and did. Is they squirted milk out of their eye socket, and when I figured out I could do the air thing, I was like, there is no way I'm ever going to cross that line.
Listen, I won't even
not a
try a
chance.
neti pot. I'll be stuffed up before.
No,
I
me
even get
either.
it on my nose.
I will
Really?
suffer. I will suffer. Absolutely not.
I love a good sinus cleansing. It's you know.
You want to drown until you're ready to not drown?
See, and that's another thing.
Exactly.
I think that my unusual talent. I think I could be waterboarded without any without any issue. I'd never
We'll
get
put it
with
to the
anything.
test.
Out of the-
Patreon goal. Let's go.
That's right, Patreon goal. Zach gets to waterboard
Wow.
Barrett.
Barrett thinks he can take it. His children will be the ones waterboarding. Go ahead. Get the carafe. Yes.
All right, last question. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would love to have dinner with my founding team, with Chris and Annie and Nick. We actually haven't met in person yet. And it's one of those things we've been through so much together
Yeah.
over the last, almost year now. And it started off just meetings once a week to kind of update each other on progress and dream and strategize. And now we're on Zoom with each other almost every single day. And so I would love to have dinner with them in person. We all have compared heights now. And so we're all prepared. Those who are shorter are prepared to see those who are, you guys got the taller ones today on your podcast.
there's no
So the shorter
awkward-
ones they're prepared. So then that way, when the giants show up to the table, they're not afraid. We don't want to
There's
scare
no-
the little ones.
Yeah,
you
there's no.
you dress up like Gandalf and the Ranger, and they have to dress up with hobbits. Like when you first meet, and you're just like,
There's no
I
awkward
will
waist hugs.
100% go as Aragorn. I
There
literally,
you go.
Lord of the Rings is my absolute favorite.
Ashley, how
Nice.
tall are you?
I'm 5'9",
5'9". Okay, that's
but
above
I'm usually in heels, so I'm usually about 6 foot.
Okay,
nice.
all right, Chris. I'm assuming you're somewhere in the 6 foot, 6'2". Good night. Yeah,
I'm 6 foot 5'11", 6 foot if I wear shoes. My wife is flat footed 5'11", so we're like
It's awesome.
usually the.
I'm gonna
She's
tell.
still
There's
like
even.
she still has to reach stuff for me because I have just short arms. I'm like, can you get the toilet paper from the very top shelf where you put it? Because you're rude.
I always have to go back to my Ron White joke. I'm about 6'1", depending on which convenience store I'm walking out of.
I know that.
What a throwback.
Chris, I don't know how you're going to top it, but who would you like to have a meal with?
A meal with I probably interesting people I'd like to talk to. I would probably authors of books that I love. Brandon Sanderson, Joe Abercrombie. Throw in a nonfiction. Mary Roach. Yeah,
Okay,
she's
fair
cool.
enough.
I think if I were to pick an author, I think Bill Bryson would be a good author to sit down and
Yep.
have a meal with.
I would have liked to sit with Christopher Hitchens. That would have been a cool one. Outside of like keep your Muslim ideas to yourself, but I like everything else.
Douglas Adams would have been a good one. I'd enjoyed a meal with Douglas Adams. That would have been cool. Well,
Ashley, one day, one of our guests will say "you and me." It will happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is that what you're doing? You're digging.
If we get both of our mothers on, and they still will be like anybody else but you two.
Certainly not Zach, if that's what you're leading into.
No.
Well,
maybe Barrett if I'm desperate, but never Zach.
If in our parents' defense, though, they have eaten around us before, and me 40 years of experience, Zach at
You're
least
like
30
major
something.
pain.
Yeah,
I just feel like probably Zach's mom's tired of cutting his steak for him. Like I think she just needs a break.
Cutting it, she started chewing it for me. Yeah.
Like a little
That's
bird.
mom of the year. That's mom of the year. Please get her something nice this year, Zach.
on that bombshell, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank Chris Jones, CTO and Architect Cloud, for the Neptune app, as well Ashley, CEO of the Neptune app. Very excited for what you guys are doing, and very much look forward to getting the log on and actually start posting content to it, so that if we make you guys a little money, that's our goal. That's what we'd like to do.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. That's going to do it for episode number 242. Links to all of our past episodes, podcast platform, merchandise, social media, and all available at our website, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away free content and entertainment is silly and you're in the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger and support the show? Members get early access to this episode as well as exclusive content. Visit theallaboutnothing.com and click on the support link near the top of the page. You can subscribe monthly at a varying level of membership tiers, or click on the tips link and give us a one-time donation. If you'd like to join the conversation, you can call and leave us a message, 803-672-0533. You can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, or you can join our Discord server. The links are all available on our website. Thank you very much for listening. You all stay safe, be kind, and
please keep your hands to yourself.
The All About Nothing podcast is a product of Big Media and produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow everything Cake the band at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff the producer for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the producer. I am Barrett Gruber. You can follow me across social media by visiting Linktree/Barrett Gruber. You can follow Zach King on social media at GarnetKing07. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage at theallaboutnothing.com and become a member. There are several tiers available that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. To find links to our social media, podcast platforms, and merchandise to support the show as well as past episodes, visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like, you can be a part of the show. Email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, or you can call our number and leave a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our sister shows, including What the Pod Was That with Carrie, Zach, and myself, Welcome to Wonderland with a me, and Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jameel Brooks and Bill Kimmler. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscription button and punch that notification bell. Thank you for listening, and hear us next week. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media, LLC, and is copyright 2025, all rights reserved.